Welcome back to Important Library Stuff, a podcast where library staff share the inside scoop on all the stuff that happens at Prince William Public Libraries. And trust us, it's a lot of stuff. I'm your host, Emily Bickers, media specialist from the Office of Communications and Marketing, and I am joined each episode by fellow staff members who know a lot more on each episode's topic than I do. This episode is a little different from what we've done before. National Library Week is at the end of the month from April 19th through the 25th. It is an annual celebration highlighting the valuable role libraries and library professionals play in transforming lives and strengthening our communities. The theme this year is Find Your Joy, and I traveled around our libraries to ask our staff about the joy they find in serving as library staff, and any tips for listeners on how to find joy in our libraries, including on our digital library, of course. Let's listen to what they had to say. When was a moment at the library that made you think, this is why I love this job?
Oh, there are so many, Emily, but one that really stands out for me, I hosted a young author night for our young school-age children at Potomac, and I made handmade books, and the kids came in, and we talked about what it means to be an author and an illustrator, and what goes into writing and illustrating a book. And at the end, they could pick out one of the handmade books. They were blank. And they could just write their own stories and illustrate their own stories. And I had a display up with pictures of our favorite authors, and in the middle of that display, I had a mirror, and I had put YOU above that. Aww. And one little girl came up, and she saw herself in the mirror, and she turned to her mom, and she said, "Mom, that's me. I'm an author." And that just my heart sang that day. That was the whole purpose, is for the kids to love literature, to see themselves as authors and as illustrators, and to know that the stories they tell have value.
Everything that we do, whether it's handing somebody a book that they haven't read for a really long time, or a new book that they're discovering, or even just sharing the love of puzzles or scavenger hunts, everything that we do here at the library just brings so much joy to us and so much joy to the community, and just giving back in that way is just so amazing. I love helping people, so I think that there's no better job than to help people than in the libraries, because we just do so much.
Well, just yesterday, I had a little kid who came in, and he was translating to his mom about all of the different things that we do as a library. And one of the questions that he asked was, well, how much does a book cost? And I was like, no, it's free. So he turned to his mom and he translated, it's free. And she was like, free? And I was like, yes, our whole library collection is free for you to browse and check out. You can check up to 100 items. And he was so excited picking out all of his books. And we picked out some Minecraft and Diary of a Wimpy Kid for him. And he left happy and smiling.
I remember seeing that we had purchased the DVD set of season 3 of Yellowstone, and being really grateful that even our patrons who maybe don't have streaming services can still participate in pop culture and references and all the things. And it seems like a little thing, but access and inclusion is really what we're trying to do with our resources.
Years ago, I was in charge of electronic resources and subscription databases, and I was asked by the then head of school librarians to come to Prince William County Schools and give a presentation to their librarians and media center specialists. And it went really well, and I was actually asked to come to different schools and school libraries to provide some specific training on certain databases and to work with teachers and librarians and students. And it made me realize that the library is part of a broader community, and just it made me really happy that I could play a small part in being part of this institution that serves the community.
One of the things that I love is to serve other people and just to meet new people. And when I'm at the library, I feel like I'm part of a community. When I'm at the desk and I'm helping people with real-life problems, or engaging with a 5-year-old to talk about what they're interested in, or helping somebody who's frustrated on the computer and we can solve it, I feel like I'm really making a difference.
What I really love about this job is that you go in and you're committing to the community as a genuine act of service. And it just gives you a feeling of like fulfillment and having purpose.
My library joy is when I was at the desk one day and a mom was checking out books, and she told me that her daughter liked to go home and play library, and her daughter pretended to be me, and she would hold story time for her stuffed animals. And if you are reach that minor celebrity status when you're being imitated by children, that's the greatest thing ever.
Actually, it started when I was 13 years old, and I started as a teen volunteer at my current hometown, and that is when I realized this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. With Prince William, it has been a joy just being here from day one. I have loved everything about Prince William, and it was the county that I was working towards ever since I got my library degree.
So whenever a new idea suddenly appears, the kind that like it pops up in conversation or it just springs upon you and it's really exhilarating, I love moments like that with my team or witnessing it in meetings, and especially if the idea offers the perfect blend of fun and service to our community. There's just such a wide variety of what we do, and I love being a part of generating that.
It would probably have to be the first time I hosted the in-person FAFSA assistance, because a lot of the people who were coming into the program were people who had never been in our branch before, or some had never really been to like the public library before, and just like their amazement from how much the program helped them, because again it allowed them to get their kids' FAFSA's applications submitted, and then two, they didn't realize that there were all these wonderful resources right here in their community. So
a sense of community. I love building a community. First of all, our coworkers are awesome, so I really do enjoy working with everyone here. And just building this wonderful community of makers at the Makerspace. And one of my favorite programs is an intergenerational program. It's with the Stonehouse Quilters, and they work with our teens. And they're so wonderful with the teens. The teens are having a lot of fun. A little bit of background about me is I was a teen librarian, so it just, as I got the Makerspace librarian position, I knew I wanted to keep them coming in. And this has been one of many outlets to bring that younger generation in, but also seeing like the interactions between a much older generation and a much younger generation is really cool.
I particularly love when I can link people to the resources that they really need, whether those are really like big and heavy kind of resources like social services, housing, job sites that they need to apply for jobs. Those are really heartfelt interactions, but also just trying to find people their books. You know, I had a gentleman come in the other day looking for a book for his wife, and we went looking on the shelves. It wasn't there, and I suddenly had this thought, you know, if I go to large print, we might be able to find it there. He didn't know that collection existed at all, and said to me, I hate reading, but I think I could read this. So it was beautiful.
I think anytime I recommend a book to a patron and they come back and let me know that they loved it or that they didn't like it, and we can have a conversation about the pros and cons, and that can get us started into a more interesting conversation about books.
I think those moments happen all the time, but the one that happened most recently was last week when I just had the sweetest interaction with a young reader. He ended up whispering to me that he was only 5 years old, and he was super quiet at first, just sort of clinging to his mom, but while she was busy working on the puzzle, he ended up chatting with me and opening up enough to share a little bit about the books that he likes and what he hoped to read next. So that surprised his mom as much as me that he did come out of his shell and warm up, and it felt really good that he trusted staff and felt the kindness and the connection in that moment.
Honestly, every day kind of makes me fall in love with the job a little bit more, especially when it comes to programming, being able to engage with the community and find things that are appealing.
When I first started as a children's librarian here, it was my first children's librarian job, and I was nervous about doing story time. But I did it, and I was enjoying it. There was a week that I was on vacation, and my coworker filled in and did story time for me. and she said that a little boy came in to story time and said, "Wait, who are you? Where's that guy?" So for a long time, I was that guy. But I did really like, oh, okay, so they know who I am. They miss me. And that was a real confidence boost. And I felt like that was like, okay, I think I've made it.
We have a lot of retirees and a lot of seniors at my stage in life, and having to care for my own parents. I know that for a lot of them, this may be like their one outing of the day, and why not make that special for them? I really enjoy having that time to work with them, talk to them, make them smile. I usually try to make them laugh because that's kind of my thing. I may be the only person outside of their home that they interact with during the day. Like, it's important to make that a positive experience.
It's like my first or second day as an assistant, and I have this little girl come up to me at the desk, and she already looks very frightened about coming up to the desk. And I'm just like, "Hi, how are you? What can I help you with?" And she's like, "I'm looking for a book." And this is like I'm going to say like maybe a 6 or 7 year old. And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Do you remember maybe the author's name? Do you remember the title?" No, she remembers none of these things, which, is obviously really common. And I'm asking her all these questions, and all she can tell me is it has a lighthouse on the cover. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna try this. We're gonna give this a go. And I'm looking through every single book that I can think of that has a lighthouse. As I'm doing this, I'm coming up blank, but I'm like, I'm gonna find this child's book. I'm gonna find it. And I'm like, okay, kiddo, do you remember anything else? No detail is too weird. She's like, it had something shiny on the cover. I was like, Caldecott Award. So I managed to type in Caldecott Award, lighthouse. I can't even remember exactly what I did. I find it, I pull up the picture, and I twist the thing around. She's like, yes! And I'm like, yay! And I go over, and we actually did have it in the system. And I was like, let's go get it! And I think both of us were actually kind of skipping a little bit because both of us were just so excited to find this book. And it's like, yes!
What's something people might not realize brings you joy about working at Prince William Public Libraries?
Something that people may not realize brings me joy is the physicality of the job. There's something really special about going in the morning and picking up the books out of the book drop and getting the newspaper and just having those things in your hand that you can read. I think that's missing in a lot of workplaces today.
I think they realize it, but they don't realize just how much it is, one, my programs, because I do love my programs. But it's also just coming up with a new one. You'll get this idea in your head, and it just kind of sits there. And it keeps nagging at the back of your head, what if we tried this? And there's always a chance it's going to fail. But it is when you do have a program and you do go through all of this, it ends up being just a massive hit.
We like interacting with patrons as much as they like interacting with us, especially when it's for resources, like if they have materials that they're really interested in or if they need help on something for school. We are always willing to really give out information to help them.
I think sometimes it's the small moments. As a youth services staffer, I regularly go to the schools that are assigned to our branch, and I've gone to one of our high schools once a month. And I'm starting to see the same kids, and they know me by name now. So it might be just a 20-minute interaction once a month. But a couple months ago, I had two of my regular girls walked in the library. That's where we set up. And they were hunched over. I could tell from their body language they'd had a really bad day. And they saw me, and their face lit up. They came over there. They're like, hi, you're here. What are we doing today? What do you have for us? And then they opened up and they talked a little bit about, one of the girls didn't do as well on a test. So we talked through that. And I said, it's just one test, one day. Did you try your best? Yeah, okay. It's just one test in many. So, and sometimes they'll share, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they just want to do the craft that we bring or a project that we bring and sit in silence, and that's okay too. And other times they open up like that girl did.
Human connection is at the heart of nearly everything we do in the libraries, whether that's outreach or programming or technology help and readers advisory. All of my staff and I are always looking to serve and connect with the community. This shows up all the time, and we see it in the relationships between members of our book club, our crochet club, our storytime families who hang back after story hour to continue to bond and share their own ups and downs of parenting. But then there are also the small moments of connection that happen every day, like if we're helping a patron learn how to use technology like a new Kindle or a new cell phone. Or if they're looking for their new favorite book. For me, I love chatting with people about what I've read recently, what they've read and loved, if they're interested in trying something new, or if they have a very particular genre that they like. It warms my heart later to hear a patron come back and share that a book recommendation turned out to be just what they wanted. And I've had that happen through Ask a Librarian on social media or a podcast, or even just conversing with people at the front desk. It's a really good feeling. That's what people associate us with, and that's what we're here to do.
I just love our patrons. I love catching up with them, seeing what they're reading. I also love watching the little kids grow up. Having started a long time ago, I have my old library kids who I used to do story times at Lake Ridge. And they were like 4 years old, and now they're teenagers. And I just love watching them grow up and seeing the people that they'll become.
In the library, we have the opportunity to develop relationships with people. Sometimes it's a one-time thing, and just kind of getting to know what they need in the moment or helping them in the moment. But sometimes we get to know people for a lifetime. A lot of people come to the library because they feel that they belong. It's like a second home. And I think that it's that way for staff as well.
I really enjoy creating community. So I know for me, a big one is like my toddler story time. Just over the years, because I've been doing the toddler story time here, again, for all 4 years, and just seeing how some of the families who bring their little ones, they come and they don't really know anybody. And then after coming for a while, they start to make friends. The kids start to become friends. The parents start to become friends. So I just really get a lot of joy out of that.
For my current position, I work with the staff and behind the scenes more than out in the public anymore. And working with the staff and helping them to grow in their career and in their current positions is the most enjoyable thing about my current position.
Almost my entire career here has been in material services in different roles. One thing that brings me joy is when staff, like public services staff, let me know that something we did helped them meet a patron need or deal with a patron or just do their job. I really, as much as my main focus is we're trying to find what the patrons need, we also see the public services staff as our customers, and I certainly do. And when I hear that something we've done has helped someone in one of the branches, that really makes me feel good.
The people I work with, it's just the most extraordinarily creative and dynamic place to work. You're always working with different teams, different people on teams. Everybody brings something completely different to what you're working on, and you just never get tired of meeting new people in your profession. Everybody loves it.
I think one thing people might not realize about working at PWPL and libraries in general is your coworkers are really cool.
If someone walked into the library this month to find their joy, where would you send them and why?
I might be biased, but I would probably send them to the children's section.
To the DVD section so you can have a fun movie night.
Obviously, I would send them to the makerspace, only because it's so much fun to explore a new medium and to try something different.
Well, I used to work at Relic, and I feel very attached to Relic. I think it's one of the best services the library provides. It's a great place where you can just literally walk in off the street, and the next thing you know, you're looking at microfilm of 18th century newspapers. If you're new to doing genealogical or history research, it's a great starter.
Well, I think I would send them to fiction, unless they enjoy nonfiction, which I do very much, especially as I get older. So I would want to have a conversation with them.
I think I'd have to ask a few deeper questions. You know, I'm a librarian, so reference interview. But I think I would say, hey, let's go for a walk around the library. We would find what sparks their joy as we walk around the library. You know, there's the books, there's the garden, there's the seed library, there's the art gallery, nonfiction, fiction, you name it. There's a whole digital world out there they don't even know about. So, yeah, we'd have to take a walk and have a long conversation.
I think one of the best aspects of the library is how it's one of the few places today where you can really still slow down. Not only are you allowed to do that here, but we encourage you to do that. We want our patrons to stop and smell the roses. In our case, the Spice Club kits that come out every month.
Oftentimes a patron knows what they want and they can articulate that. So then we go help them solve it, whether it's mobile printing, then we can figure out how to get their document printed via mobile app. It might be finding resources for a school report. It might be computer help for completing a job application. And sometimes they're not quite sure what they want. So then I'll spend a few minutes just doing a reference interview and sussing out what they're here for.
For example, sometimes we have parents who will come in and maybe a teacher has said their child needs to practice reading more because they're kind of falling behind or they're not on grade level. So the initial part of the interaction is often the parent's frustration or feeling overwhelmed, not knowing what to do or how to go about it. And so I have the opportunity to kind of show them some things about those types of materials and how they can find the books that are exactly on the level or even a little above to challenge their children. But also I can kind of model how to read or how to saturate their child's environment with reading opportunities and make it more of like a shared family experience. And so I often, I just love those interactions with parents because I feel like afterwards I have empowered them to be more confident in helping their child overcome whatever challenges they're having, but also to do it in like a beautiful way that where they can bond, where they can have like a shared experience and something that is fun and, enjoyable for them, but also very beneficial.
We have such a variety of services here. It's a great place to just come and relax. It's a great place to build friendships for all ages with the programs that we offer. It's a great place to do research, whether it be for family history or something simple for a school project. It's a variety of things. So joy for each person is going to be different. And one thing that I just love about public libraries is that we are able to provide that for each and every person that walks through our door.
So if you want to find your joy, you should come to Chin Park ASC and see Squirt, the library turtle. He will be very excited to see you, and it's always fun to see him. It will fill you with joy.
What is the most joyful sound in the library?
I'm so happy you guys have this book.
You don't have to pay for that.
I figured it out. Thank you.
Oh, look at this.
Music in motion.
When I'm playing guitar and singing in Storytime or Music in Motion, and the kids are singing along and dancing and clapping, and that's a real thrill.
Hearing kids read aloud to someone or practicing reading out loud, whether it's a therapy dog or they're grown up or just practicing independent reading.
I call it library exuberance, and that would be when a child, maybe 2 or 3 years old, comes through the open front door squealing and excited to just come in and find a book or hug our mascot or say hello or get a sticker or something like that. It's just, I think it's total library exuberance.
Laughter. Always the laughter. And I think it comes from our patrons as much as our staff, and that tells me as a manager that we've created a good environment.
Children's laughter.
Kids' laughter, or like singing along to story time.
I think children's laughter.
Laughter. Honestly, laughter.
Giggles. Children giggling. It's just like, I feel like that's just a wonderful sound in general, is to hear a kid giggle and you're just like, yay, they're having fun.
Laughter. I think laughter for sure, whether it's coming from a little kid or from an adult. We have so many adults that come in and don't even realize we have a puzzle table or book club kits or an active book club at this small branch as well. And laughter, just all the joy that we can bring everybody of all ages.
Laughter. Yeah. I like it when you can hear laughter and just joy, overall like enjoyment. If someone's really enjoying a book or they're interacting during a program with other people that they meet.
Hearing the people and the laughter and the communication between each other and the staff, the smiles in their voices whenever they're helping others.
I love hearing people laugh. And people will walk in and tell their kids, like, shh, it's the library. And they don't realize that, like, the libraries have changed over the decades, and it's no longer, shh, don't talk in the library. You're allowed to talk.
The most joyful sound in the library to me is the sound of the receipt tape coming out of... I just love hitting that return button and having that long reel of tape coming out, tucking it into the front cover of the book and handing the book over like a gift with a smile and a goodbye. It's my favorite way to finish an interaction.
Finish the sentence. The library is...
one of the best places to be.
Home.
The greatest place ever.
Oh, my happy place.
The library is just a magical place. Every time you think you know what the library is, it gives you something more. Even as a librarian, you keep finding out the extraordinary things that people are doing in libraries and just think, I could do more.
One of the best public spaces that anybody can access and everybody's welcome at.
I would say the library is kind of a second home to a lot of people. It's a free place to go. It's not just about the books. You can get on the computer. You can check out a movie. You can reserve a study room. There's, tons of great programs. We've got art. We have, the Montclair has an art wall.
Amazing. Amazing, fantastic, wonderful, just community.
The library is the community.
A pillar of our community.
A place where everyone belongs.
Accessible, like a calming place.
A place for everyone.
I think it's, most important that it's just a place in the community for anyone to be able to utilize.
The library is community. The library is relationship. The library transforms lives. It impacts lives.
A safe place.
Safe space for everybody.
Library is a multitude of things. Honestly, it's really anything that you need it to be. It is like a hub for all experiences. Yeah.
I wanted to give a huge thank you to all the staff who participated in this, and a general shout out to the entire PWPL staff. Every day, they shelve books, lead story times, help job seekers print resumes, apply for and use grants to create fun and exciting programs, plan summer reading and promote it in our schools, answer questions, phone calls, and emails, drive our mobile library to senior centers, catalog movies, select new audiobooks on Libby, and keep our Wi-Fi and computers running. And all of this while still spreading joy to their coworkers and library patrons. Be sure to help us celebrate during National Library Week, which again is April 19th through the 25th, especially Tuesday, April 21st, which is National Library Workers Day, a day for library staff, users, administrators, and friends groups to recognize the valuable contributions made by all library workers. I will close us out with a quote from the book referenced in the episode's title, And Then It's Spring, by Julie Fogliano, the author, and Aaron Easted, the illustrator. And you walk outside to check on all that brown, but the brown isn't around, and now you have green. All around you have green. Thanks for listening, and join us next month for the next episode of Important Library Stuff.